Hey everybody, it's your boy Story God. I'm back with another video. And actually, this is a series, right? It's gonna be a whole fucking series. And this series is called Debunking Slavery, right? Cause the honest God truth is that a lot of people twist history into their own narrative, into their own beliefs. It doesn't matter if they're wrong. All that matters is at the end of the day, their beliefs are safe. They're A-okay. It also doesn't matter how much you try to discredit them or anything like that, because at the end of the day, they could give less of a fuck. It's all about avoiding guilt. What guilt, you may ask? White guilt. Right? That's what they're afraid of. White guilt. They're afraid that when the truth comes out, we're going to be over here and be like, yeah, see, you did this, da 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 da, you a monster, that's this, that, and this, and the man reparations and shit like that. And that's what they're afraid of, right? That's what they're really afraid of. And some of them do it just because they want their heritage to be not as bad as history portrays, right? That's really what it's all about at the end of the day. They don't want to be out. They don't want to be looked at as the bad guy. They don't want their ancestors or their grandfathers or shit like that to be a evil person. They don't want that. They don't like that. They don't like the idea of being born into an evil culture or into an evil mindset, I should say. And so it is they mix it up, you know, to protect themselves, protect their heritage, and generally protect their identity. That's what it's all about. Well, but that said, bro, over here we don't give a fuck about that. It's all facts every day, B. I don't give a fuck about your feelings, bro. I care about the facts. I don't give a fuck about your feelings. Right? I don't care if this offends you. Because at the end of the day, this is history. And you can go in the comment section and you can try and you can try to make this into something that's not true or shit like that. You can do all that you want, but at the end of the day, no one's gonna believe you because the facts are out there, and the people who actually did their history already know this type of stuff. They already know what I'm talking about. The people who actually studied history, they know what I'm talking about. Ask every historian ever. Well, not every historian, because clearly some of them were racist themselves. Why I say this, I'm gonna explain it in a few videos down. Right, I'm explaining that later on. I will, but regardless, let's get this video started. Slavery myths debunked. The Irish were slaves too. Slaves had it better than northern factory workers. White people fought for the Confederacy and other half lies, half troops, and irrelevancy. A certain resistance to discuss about the toll of American slavery isn't confined to the least savory corners of the internet. Last year, an unsigned and non-withdrawal review of historian Ed Baptist's book, The Have Has Never Been Told, the Economist took issues with Baptist's overstated treatment of the topic, arguing that the increase in a country's economic output in the 19th century shouldn't have been chalked up to black workers' invitations in the cotton fields, but rather to masters treating their slaves well out of economic self-interest. A bit of seemingly rational counter-argument that ignores the moral force of Baptist's narrative, while making space for the fantasy of kindly slavery. In the June column of The Legacy of Robert E. Lee, that was otherwise largely critical of the Confederate General New York Times op-ed columnist David Brooks wrote that thought Lee owned slaves, he didn't like owning slaves. A biographical detail whose, in conclusion, seemed to imply that Lee, they're using big words, that Lee ambivalence somehow made his slaveholding less objectionable. And in the August obituary of civil rights leader Julian Bond, the Times called his great-grandfather Jane Bond, grandmother, my bad, his great-grandmother Jane Bond, the slave mistress of a Kentucky farmer, a term that accords far too many agencies to Bond's ancestor, and too little blame to the farmer who enslaved her. While working on our Slavery Academy podcast, the history of American slavery was encountered many types of slavery denial, frequently disguised as historical correctives and advanced by those who want to change and or end conversation about the deep impact of slavery on American history. We like to offer counter-arguments, some historical, some ethical, to the most common misdirections that surface in conversations about slavery. Let me skip here. The Irish were slaves too. Is it true? If we're talking about slavery as it was practiced on Africans in the United States, that is hereditary chattel slavery, then the answer is a clear no. As historian and public librarian Liam Hogan writes in a paper titled The Myths of Irish Slaves in the Colonies, persons from Ireland have been held on various forms of human bondage throughout history, but they have never been cattle slaves in the West Indies, nor is there any evidence of Irish cattle slavery in the North American colonies. There were a large number of Irish and instituted servants, and there were cases in which Irish men and women were sentenced to indented servitude, sorry guys, in the New World, and forcibly shipped across the Atlantic. But even involuntary laborers had more autonomy than enslaved Africans, and large majority of Irish indentured servants came here voluntarily. I'm messing that word up. Indentured. I don't know if I can pronounce it right, but I'm gonna keep going. Which raises a question: where did the myth of Irish slavery come from? A few places the term white slavery emerged in the 17th and 18th centuries, first as a derogatory term, I can't pronounce that, term for Irish laborers, equating their social positions to that of slaves. Later as political rhetoric in Ireland itself, and later still as Southerner pro-slavery propaganda against an institutionalized North. More recently, Hogan notes several sources have confided indentured servitude with cattle slavery in order to argue for a particular Irish disadvantage in the Americas. When compared to other white immigrant groups. Hogan cites several writers, I can't pronounce that, Into Hell or Barbados, and Don Jordan and Michael Wales in White Cargo, for forgotten history of Britain's white slaves in America, who exaggerate poor treatment of Irish indentured servants and internationally conflate their status with African slaves. Neither of the authors bothered to inform the reader in a coherent manner what a difference are between chattel slavery and indentured servitude or forced labor, writes Hogan. Don't worry, guys, it should be linked below. I'm already fucking up. Y'all know this by now. This is an important point. Indentured servitude was typical daily work, and many indentured servants did die before their terms were over. But indentured servitude was temporary, with a beginning and an end. Those who survived their terms received their freedom. Servants could even petition for early release due to mistreatment. And colonial lawmakers established different, often lesser punishments for disobedient servants compared to disobedient slaves. Above all, indentured servitude wasn't hereditary. The children of servants were free. The children of slaves were properly to enlid. I don't think I pronounced that word. My bad. Okay. This is to diminish the realities of chattel slavery, which perhaps is one reason the most vocal purveyors of the myth are neo-Confederate and white supremacy groups. There goes that big word, white supremacy. There it goes. There it goes. There it goes. Bottom line, even if many Irish immigrants face discrimination and hard lives on these shores, it doesn't change the fact that American slavery, hereditary and race-based, was a massive institution that shaped and defined the political economy of colonial America and later in the United States. Nor does it change the fact that this institution left a profound legacy for the descendants of enslaved Africans, who even after emancipation, I can't pronounce that, were subject to almost a century of violence, discrimination. Yeah, I think it's discrimination, and preserve oppression with social, economic, and cultural effects that perish to the present. Oof. Black people enslaved each other in Africa, and black people worked with slave laborers. So, in a piece published in Vice magazine in 2005, and still available on the Vice website, comedian Jim Gold offers a series of "Feel Better About Your History" white kids argument. One of his surveyors, slavery was coming from Africa, which entire tribes began becoming enslaved after losing battles. Tribal chieftains often sold their defeated foes to white slave traders. Is it true? This is certainly true, but as historian Marcus Riedriker writes, the ancient and widely accepted institution of enslavement in Africa was exacerbated by the European presence. Yes, European slave traders entered pre-existing circuits of exchange when they arrived in the 16th century, but European demand changed the shape of this market, strengthening enslavers and ensuring the more and more people will be carried away. European slave ships containing captains wanted to deal with ruling groups and strong leaders, people who could command labor resources and deliver the goods. We we like your rights, and European money and technology further empowered those who were already dominant, encouraging them to enslave great numbers. Both the social structures and infrastructure that enabled African systems of enslavement were strengthened by the trans, trans transatlantic slave trade. Oof, I already know. I already see how asshole comments being like, yeah, nigga, you can't read. Nigga, I don't care. I don't care. I'm trying my best, nigga. Bottom line, why should this matter? This is a classic two wrongs make a right ethical proposition. Even if African or Arabs or Jews collided in the slave trade, should white Americans be entitled to do whatever they please with people who were unlikely enough to fall victim? The first slave in America was black. The first slave owner in America was black. Yeah. Now this is not exactly true, and I'm explaining that to you right now. Is it true? It depends on how you paraphrase the timeline. Anthony Johnson, the black ex-instituted servant whose bio opened the first episode of our podcast, did sue to hold John Cassier for life in 1653, and the resulting civil court decision remaining caser to Johnson ownership was a historian R. Halliburton Jr. writes, one of the first known legal sanctions of slavery in the colonies, the phrase "one of" is crucial. The ship's Desire brought a cargo of Africans from Barbados to Boston in 1634. These people were sold as slaves in 1640. John Punt, a runaway servant of African descent, was sentenced to lifelong slavery in Virginia, while the two European-born companions who fled with him had their extended in 1641. The passage of the Body of Liberties provided legal sanction for the slave trade in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. And B. The image in the meme above isn't of Anthony Johnson. There were no photographs in 17th century Virginia. Whew. Whether or not Anthony Johnson was the first American slaveholder, he was certainly not the last black person to own slaves. It is a very sad aspect of African American history that slavery sometimes could be colorblind affair. Okay, so I was wrong earlier. I thought it was more complicated than that, but I guess I was wrong. I probably missed a point or two when I was looking this up earlier. But that's alright. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It is a very sad aspect of African American history that slavery sometimes could be colorblind affair. Right? Henry Louis Gates Jr. on the Root in a fascinating piece about the history of black slaveholders in the United States. Some black slaveholders brought family members through this Hamilton Agreement doesn't account for all history of black slaveholding, as Gates points out. I'll tell you why it's happened. They were surrounded with white supremacy, right? They were surrounded with that type of mindset. So, of course, people are going to copy what they saw in or experience, right? So this shit ain't new to them. So they're like, fuck it. If they're allowed to do it, I should do it too, right? That's all it is. Monkey see, monkey do. That's it. It's not more complicated than that. When you're around that type of mindset of enslaving others, you could very well fall into that. It is what it is, bro. I mean, that's exactly why. Exactly why it happened. It's part of history. Don't get me wrong, but that's one of the reasons why. Bottom line, even if Anthony Johnson was the first person in North American colonies to hold a slave, even if many black people across the years held slaves, that doesn't erase the fact that it was the racial bias based. Excuse me, I'm sorry. That was the racially based system of hereditary slavery that harmed the vast majority of black people living within it. That's fact. There you go. So please, if someone gonna use, well, black people enslaved black people too, shut the fuck up, because that's clearly not a good argument. That's clearly not a good argument. That doesn't count to all of us. That doesn't count, bro. So please shut the fuck up. The fact that some members of an oppressed class partake in oppression doesn't excuse that oppression. There you go. Someone speaking common fucking sense. Common fucking sense. I slave. Y'all be fucking retarded, bro. Y'all arguments are just be fucking retarded. Like on God, bro. Y'all are some slow motherfuckers. Some slow ass motherfuckers, bro. Y'all arguments and excuses, bro. It's funny. It really is. It's fucking funny. And I'm not talking to every white person. I'm talking to the racist whites. Y'all know who y'all are. Y'all know who y'all are. I'm talking to the people who actively defend this type of shit. With that argument or another argument. There you go. There's my counter argument right there. And while somebody in the comments try to downplay this, I mean, if that happens, I'm just gonna ignore them. You can't get someone else. You can't get someone out of an ignorant mindset, bro. You can't do that. You can't do that, bro. No matter what you say, they're gonna hold that belief. No matter what you say, because they'd rather live in a false reality than a real one. So if you want to live in that false reality, go right ahead. I'm not gonna stop you. Go right ahead, bro. Meanwhile, us over here, we're gonna live in reality itself. We're gonna live within the facts, bro. We're gonna live within the facts. And if you're butthurt by this, bro, no one cares. No one cares, bro. That's you. No one cares, bro. If you're butthurt, you're just gonna leave an ignorant comment because you're angry, bro. No one fucking cares, bro. Stop being a fucking child, bro. You ain't 5 no more, bro. You ain't 5. You ain't fucking 5 no more, bro. No one cares. You ain't gonna get attention from me. You ain't gonna get no attention from me. No attention whatsoever, bro. Slaves were better off than some poor people working in northern or English factories. At least they were given food and a place to stay. Oh my God. This shit right here. Is it true? It was undoubtedly hard to be a factory worker in this 19th century. White adults and children labored in dangerous environments and were often hungry, but slaves were hardly in a better position. Thank you. While it makes some incentive to sense that a person would be rationally motivated to take care of his or her property, as the Economist Review suggests, historians have found that American slaveholders were apt to provide minimum levels of food and shelter for enslaved people. They considered black people's I can't pronounce that to be less refined than the white people. And this suffocation serving notorious diet of pork and cornmeal. Enslaved workers were expected to be supplement the diets when they could be tending their own vegetable gardens and hunting or trapping. More work to be added to their already heavy loads. Evidence shows that many enslaved people suffer from diseases associated with malnutrition, including pellagra, rickets, scurvy, and amnesia. I can't pronounce that. But y'all already know it is. Y'all can be better than me. Even if an enslaved person in the United States landed in a relatively good position, owned by a slaveholder who was inclined to feed workers well and be lenient in punishment, he was always subjected to sale, which could happen because of death, debt, arguments in the family, or home, since very few laws regulated slaveholders' treatment of enslaved people. There would be no guarantee that the next place to the enslaved person landed would be equally comfortable, and the enslaved had limited opportunity in short of running away or resisting to control the situation. Bottom line, this is another case of the two wrongs fallacy. We could compare levels of mistreatment of northern factory workers and southern enslaved laborers and find that each group lived with hunger and injury. Both findings are dismaying, but this is a distraction from the real issue. Slavery as a system legalized and confided the slaveholders' control over the enslaved person's body. Come on, talk to me. Talk to me. You make a lot of sense. Talk to me. Only a small percentage of Southern owned slaves. We getting down all the myths, bro. I was trying to make this into a series, but changing plans. But we're gonna combat this all together, bro. We're gonna tackle every myth there is, bro. I was trying to make this into a series, but I miscalculated, bro. That's my fault. But either way, bro, I'm already too deep, so I ain't gonna stop. The vast majority of soldiers in the Confederate Army was simple men of regional income, rather than wealthy slaveholders. Right? See anonymous author of widely circulated Confederate history, fact sheet. Is it true? According to 1860 census taken just before the Civil War, more than 32% of white families in the soon-to-be Confederate States owned slaves. Of course, this is an average, and different states had different levels of slaveholding. In Arkansas, just 20% of families owned slaves. In South Carolina, it was 46%. In Mississippi, it was 49%. By most measures, this isn't small. It's roughly the same percentage of Americans who today hold a college degree. The large majority of slaveholding families were small farmers, not the majority of planters who dominated our image of slavery. So y'all niggas who say it was a small percent, nigga, that's how many people in college right now. That's how many people are trying to get a degree, bro. Or got a degree. Hold on, let me read this again. Yeah, that's how many people who grabbed a degree in life, bro. That's how many people who actively tried to get a degree in which they thought it will further their skills in life. That's how many people died compared to slavery, bro. Numbers match up. I mean, I don't know for sure, but see, matter of fact, I do know for sure because these niggas just basically stated that. So in fact, yes, I do. I do know. Typically, this fact is used to suggest that the Civil War was not about slavery. If so few Southerners owned slaves, goes the argument that the war had to be about something else, namely the sanctity of state rights. But as a historian, Uriah Berlin writes, the slave South was a slave society. Not just a society with slaves. Slavery was the foundation of economic and social relations. And slave ownership was aspirational, a symbol of wealth and prosperity.
whites who couldn't afford slaves wanted them in the same way that today most Americans want to own a home. There you go, bro. There you go. I'm loving this so far. I'm loving this because niggas hate the truth. Niggas hate the truth, bro. I'm putting the truth out there. Fuck, I'm tired too, but I'm gonna keep going. Bro, because this is important. Bottom line, slavery was the bias of white supremacy, which united all whites in a racist hierarchy. The existing regulation between the two races in the South, argued South Carolina St. John C. Fuck that, bro. In 1847, formed the most solid and durable foundation to near free and stable political institutions. Many whites couldn't imagine Southern society without slavery, and when it was threatened, those whites, whether they owned slaves or not, took arms and defended their way of life. Is there more? Please let me more. Oh my God, there's more. Well, bro, I'm gonna stop here, bro. I'm too tired for this. I'm too tired to keep on going, bro. I just like mad late. But I guess I ain't gonna make this a series. It's gonna be a two-parter. So this is part 1. So part 2 will be out soon, right? Part 2 will be posted this week. But with that said, bro, I just want to say something real quick. So lately, apparently now, white people in general, racist people, matter of fact, hold on, let me rephrase that. So apparently, a lot of people consider BLM a Marxist organization and or a terrorist organization, right? Either or. And I talked about this in my other video, but I'm just gonna say something here. I could give a fuck if you think that way. I am a BLM supporter, and I will support BLM for the rest of my life. For the rest of my fucking life. If those who want to say, well, what about all lives matter? What about the Jews? They're suffering shit and just like this and that and this. Well, yeah, that's happening, bro. But first off, BLM in my eyes doesn't mean that black lives only matter, bro. And that's mainly the myth that's been going around for a decade now. A lot of people assume that BLM stands for Black Lives Only Matter. Or some shit like that, bro. I'm tired. I don't know. But anyways. Oh my God, bro. Alright. Let me focus. Alright, let me get my shit together. But what I'm saying is that that's a false narrative pushed by both Republicans and Democrats. Right? This type of shit has been going on for decades now. This is nothing new. This is how to treat every black group that existed. Or a black individual. This ain't nothing new. And so I could care less how y'all think. I could care less how y'all think about me. I could care less if this offends you. I don't give a fuck. I'm supporting what I believe in. And those who are going to say, well, other people are suffering too. That's true. That is true. Other people are suffering right now, right? But me, as a black individual, my people are suffering right now. I don't have the power to save another race from their own issues. I don't have that type of power. Right? I don't have that type of power, bro. We all struggle differently. Right? Some worse than others. That's a fact. And sometimes you just gotta do what you can do for yourself and your own people before you can help others. And this is the case here, bro. I believe all lives matter, right? I believe in that, but I'll never fucking support the movement. Never support the movement. Because that's just a protest of my protest. And y'all know this. Y'all know this, bro. So I will never in my life support that. Never in my fucking life because it is a racist ideology to combat our movement in order to make whites feel better about themselves. That's the honest God truth. Honest God truth. You can call me a racist, you can call me a marxist, you can call me anything you want. I don't give a fuck. You're a person on the internet typing a mean comment because you're offended. I don't give a fuck, bro. You're nothing to me, bro. You're nothing to me, bro. You're nothing to me. You're nothing to me. You're just a person that's offended by my belief, and because of that, you want to downplay my movement. And so, in order for that to fit into your own agenda, that's all it is, bro. That's the honest God truth, bro. It's been white supremacy, bro. It always been white supremacy. It always been white supremacy, bro. White supremacy is the enemy to this nation. The FBI director said it. The fucking Secretary of Security in the White House said it. And then people are gonna be like, well, it's not true, blah blah blah, it's not true this, not true that, don't trust the FBI, blah blah blah. Bro, you can make excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. You can keep on doing that, bro. I'm gonna go with the facts. You can live your own little reality to make yourself feel better about your race and or your feelings, bro. You can go and live that type of life. Meanwhile, I'm gonna be over here living reality and supporting my people, bro. And I will support my people to the day I die, bro. If you're offended, if you think I'm evil, if you think I'm racist, bro, I don't give a fuck. Zero fucks. Zero fucks. Zero fucks. I want that to be known loud and clear. I don't care what you think of me. I do not fucking care. Call me a Marxist, call me a racist. No, you have no idea who I am, bro. You don't know my life, and you're just making up substance based off your own beliefs. That's fine by me, bro. Because at the end of the day, the only loser around here, the only racist around here is you. The only ignorant person around here is you. That's the honest God truth, bro. Everyone knows this except you. Everyone knows this except you, because to you, reality is too hard to live. Reality is just too difficult, bro. It's just too difficult. It's just too difficult. And that's sad. Stop acting like a fucking 5-year-old and grow up. Grow the fuck up. Well, anyways, guys, I thank anyone for watching. I'd like to thank my 54 subscribers. I appreciate y'all. I'm surprised I gotten this far. People like to aim bigger. Me, I'm just finding the way I am, because regardless, I appreciate the people who are following me. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate taking time out your day to watch my videos. I appreciate that, guys. And I always appreciate it. I will always appreciate it. With that said, I thank everyone for watching once again. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Black first, BLM, and peace.